Delayland.
Information on IC 2045.
Once upon a time, there was a country whose people took great pride in being punctual. Extremely punctual. When they made an appointment for 10:30, they meant 10:30. Not 10:31, not 10:32, but 10:30. That country was Germany. And for a long time, the German railway system was a model of punctuality. Trains were on time, period. The conductor who checked the tickets might have been rude, and the coffee in the train restaurant might have tasted terrible. But the train was always on time.
Delay today by about 40 minutes. We apologize for any inconvenience.
Alas, no more. Those days are over.
This is Germany like you've never heard it before. Once the country was a paragon of efficiency and punctuality. German engineering on the Autobahn, industry, innovation, digitalization, and good, honest business.
These days, Germany is another word for dysfunction and delays. German stereotypes used to smack off the truth. Trains on time, true. No delays because everything works, true.
Now, the magic is gone. Trains are delayed, German cars don't sell, and the speed of the internet is a joke. Or so it seems.
We want to find out what happened and why. I'm Nicolas Martin.
I'm Andreas Becker, and this is
Delayland. Germany and the missing magic. Brought to you by DW.
Episode 1, The Train Dilemma, to be or not to be on time.
Now we're here at Cologne Central Station, and let's see if Deutsche Bahn is on time, no?
Yeah, I would love the train to be on time. And because basically, and this is a confession we have to make early in this podcast, I think we can say we both love traveling by train.
Oh yeah, if everything runs smoothly, it's a perfect way to travel. But you bought a car.
I did, and that's another confession. I bought a car because for the longest time I've been fine with public transportation, but with commuting to work, with visiting friends and family regularly, I had the feeling it was becoming too much.
You needed a car because of the delays and the cancellations.
Yeah, they used to be the exception, but have become the norm.
Okay, having a car is your confession. My confession actually is that there were times when I was proud of Deutsche Bahn.
Proud?
Yes, you could sit down, you were on time, you had these very nice trains, and it was just such a smooth way of traveling through Germany.
Like this feeling that the national train system is great.
Yeah. You never had that feeling?
I wouldn't call it pride, but maybe something like that.
So what do you mean?
Our train is coming.
It's on time, yeah! So, Andreas, what did you mean when you said you felt something close to pride but not quite when thinking about Deutsche Bahn?
Well, ages ago, I spent some time in Mumbai in India. That's a city of 20 million people, like more than twice as big as New York City. And I had to go one day to the city center, but I stayed in the suburbs, so I had to take a train, the same train that local commuters take. And when that train arrived, I just froze because it was so full I didn't even know what to do.
Oh yeah, I've seen videos of Indian trains with people hanging on the handles near the open doors.
It was completely crazy. Nobody got off at my stop, and lots of new people got on, and I just stood there and let the train pass. And afterwards, a new train came, same story, another train, same story. I think I must have let pass 3 or 4 trains until I finally got the courage to squeeze myself in.
So that was the moment you felt pride?
I was completely proud of myself that I managed to get in there. But I also had to think about trains back in Germany, because for me, when I was in this Indian train, I thought like, what a luxury, what comfort.
Sounds like a feeling of superiority to me.
Maybe it was, but Since my experience in Mumbai, when I came back to Germany, I've many times been in German trains that were as full. Air conditioning broken, somebody's arm in my face, sweating and being late. And every time I thought this feels very much like Mumbai to me. And there are Indians who know the commuter trains in Mumbai and think that riding German trains is actually worse. Our colleague Srishti Pal, for example.
Before coming to Germany, I was traveling by Mumbai local trains. So people every morning, they fight the battle of life and death to cram themselves into the trains, and they hang out of containers, literally. So when I came to Germany, I was very happy. Deutsche Bahn might be, I won't have to struggle, I won't have to shove people, elbow them out of my way to get into the trains. That is partly true in some cities, but if you see rush hour in Frankfurt or Cologne, it's the same as a Mumbai local train, except the doors close. I thought Germany was a global north country. It is a global north country. But Deutsche Bahn is from global south.
The railroad has been a symbol of pride in Germany ever since the first train connection in 1835. The railway system grew quickly, and by the early 1920s, the Deutsche Reichsbahn, as it was called then, was the country's largest employer, with more than 1 million workers.
As old news reports and documentaries show, the train technology also became a showcase for German engineering. Back in the 1930s,
Gleaming steel holds the world's fastest machine together.
or in the 1990s when the high-speed ICE trains were introduced.
The high-speed intercity express represents the beginning of a new era of train travel for the newly merged German rail network. The intercity express combines speed with comfort. This is the future of rail travel.
Today, there's neither glamour nor pride in the German train system, just a general sense of frustration.
Even by its own standards, punctuality has plummeted, especially if you travel longer distances. These days, nearly 40% of trains are late. Compared to other European countries, German long-distance trains are among the worst when it comes to punctuality.
And what about the trains that commuters use to go to work or school or university, the regional trains?
That's a bit complicated. For long-distance trains, Deutsche Bahn pretty much has a monopoly. But when it comes to regional trains and cargo, there are hundreds of private operators as well. On paper, punctuality for regional trains looks better than for the long-distance ones. But it really depends on where you look. In densely populated urban centers like around Cologne or Frankfurt, rush hour can be a nightmare, regardless of the train operator.
We both commute, and we definitely know how that's like.
As do millions of other people in Germany who rely on trains. It's frustrating.
It's like when you're going to a casino and you gamble and you're hoping that you're on time. In rush hour, there's absolutely no guarantee at all that you're getting there in any reasonable time.
This is Tyler Bosselman, a German 20-something with US roots. He's not another frustrated passenger, but a train driver. Tyler has been driving regional trains for about 5 years, mostly between Heidelberg and Frankfurt, two major centers around the middle and south of the country.
And Tyler looks the part, with his short blonde hair, traditional dark blue train driver's uniform, and mirrored sunglasses.
How was your shift so far?
I'm still alive, I guess, so yeah. Maybe a bit tired. Yeah.
When we met Tyler, he was switching trains to take over from a colleague who finished his shift.
Ja, Tür ist abgesperrt. Alles klar. Bitte schön. Jo, mach's gut. All right. So that was the colleague and I talking on what issues the train has, and there's one door is locked up because it has some issues closing, and the other thing is a cooling system complaining once in a while.
Tyler agreed to let us ride with him in the cockpit of the train. We had hoped that would allow us to witness the horrors of rush hour traffic firsthand.
But then, perhaps untypically, Deutsche Bahn sprang into action and intervened.
They said they had safety concerns, that our presence and our questions would distract Tyler, the driver. so they installed a second driver as backup.
It also seemed that DB had concerns about the optics of our conversation, how it would make them look. So they insisted a media officer accompany us as well.
And all that created a scheduling problem. But as luck would have it, or not, Deutsche Bahn picked a time slot with ideal conditions. It was right in the middle of school holidays, around lunchtime, and far away from any big city traffic. The train was nearly empty too.
We felt they wanted us to experience a picture postcard version of train travel in Germany, and Tyler seemed to agree.
Yeah, this is a quite smooth day we're going to have here. For your perspective, you're basically getting an ideal state right now. Yeah.
But even the best PR efforts cannot block out the reality that frustration runs high among train drivers.
Someone, and it was not Tyler, has scratched something about Deutsche Bahn into the plastic of the train's dashboard.
Yeah, I don't want to really pronounce that. So, somebody with too much free time and a key. So.
The jagged letters are coarse and clearly visible. DB is shit.
In recent years, strikes by the powerful train drivers' union have become quite common. The train drivers are demanding higher pay and better working conditions. They say, among other things, that their exhausting schedules do not allow them to rest enough, and that frequent train delays lead to massive overtime.
Deutsche Bahn's other staff, from those in the control centers to service personnel to conductors and waiters in train restaurants, also have a long list of grievances. They are organized in a different union, and they also go on strike from time to time.
DB's troubles have made international headlines too. Like during the European Football Championship in the summer of 2024, which Germany hosted, the New York Times ran a myth-busting piece about our trains.
Euro 2024 and German efficiency. Forget everything you thought you knew.
During our ride with Tyler, everything went according to plan. No delays, no crowds, not even bad weather. But even then, signs of Deutsche Bahn's decline were visible. As we passed the steel bridge, Tyler pointed to some old abandoned tracks.
You can actually see the second track that was used to be in service here, but of course, it's been quite a while. Therefore, the bridge they have replaced here is also only made for one track. This all used to be a double track. You could have way more and higher volume of traffic running around here if you just invested in a few euros into this replacement track. Yeah.
Today, a lot of Germany's rail system operates on single tracks. They're cheaper to maintain than double tracks. The downside? It makes the railway system less flexible. Faster trains can overtake slower trains only at points when there is more than one track. So when Tyler reaches a siding, he often has to slow down to let faster trains or freight trains pass.
But the one-track system is just a symptom. The real problem is a consistent lack of investment in infrastructure. According to a report by the German Ministry of Transport, half of the country's tracks are in mediocre, poor or deficient condition and need fixing. A fifth of the infrastructure needs to be replaced in the medium term, and some of it immediately. Some signal boxes are over 100 years old.
Maintenance requires constant care and repair. That costs money. But for decades, Deutsche Bahn has invested less money in maintenance than many other European countries. In 2023, it just spent over 100 euros per capita. That is, for each person in a country. Austria, as a comparison, invested 3 times as much, and Switzerland 4 times as much.
Those 100 euros per capita that Germany spends, that is an improvement on a decade ago when it spent half as much.
All in all, in the past 30 years, Deutsche Bahn has failed to keep its infrastructure in shape. And now it's crumbling.
At the same time, the German railway network has shrunk, but traffic has grown, with a lot more people having to commute for work these days.
More traffic on a shrinking network that is falling apart. That, in essence, is Deutsche Bahn's problem.
But this decay hasn't come overnight. Today's problems have their root in what happened after East and West Germany reunited in 1990.
We will get there after these short messages.
You should tell the people who we are and what our new show is. I'm Robert Smith, and this is Jacob Goldstein, and we used to host a show called Planet Money. And now we're back making this new podcast about the best ideas and people and businesses in history. And some of the worst people, horrible ideas, and destructive companies in the history of business. We struggled to come up with a name, decided to call it Business History. You know why? Why? Because it's a show about the history of business. Available everywhere you get your podcasts.
Norval Morso is one of the most famous indigenous artists ever. Looking at his paintings, it's easy to see why.
Colors are intense.
Color is medicine.
But look a little closer, and you'll see something else. Fakes.
We believe it's the world's biggest art fraud.
There are thousands of fake Norval Morso paintings. Beneath some of these forgeries, assaults, abuse, and even an unsolved murder.
I want my paint back. I know you killed that boy.
Forged. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Now back to Delayland.
More traffic on a shrinking network that is falling apart. That, in essence, is Deutsche Bahn's problem.
But this decay hasn't come overnight. Today's problems have their root in what happened after East and West Germany reunited in 1990.
Das ist jetzt das Bahnhofsgebäude.
That's Jens Kaminski welcoming us into his office at a small train station near Lake Constance in the south of Germany.
Hier haben die Mitarbeiter Dienstbeginn und Dienstende.
Like Tyler, Jens is a train driver and a union member. Unlike Tyler, he's been doing it so long, 30 years, that he can remember the times when punctual trains were the rule, not the exception.
My father was a train driver, and my mother also worked for the railway. I am a third-generation railway kid.
Jens told us the decline of Deutsche Bahn hurts personally.
He started to work for Deutsche Bahn in 1994 as an apprentice mechanic and then later as a train driver. Back then, most of his colleagues were public servants. In Germany, that's a job for life, similar to police officers, firefighters, and teachers.
As public servants, they had more job security than the average employee. They couldn't be fired during a restructuring, for instance, and they received a state pension when they retired. In return, they were expected to be loyal, which meant they were not allowed to go on strike to demand higher wages or better working conditions.
Jens told us he and his colleagues took great pride in working for the National Railway and were well respected by the general public. But no more.
Back then, when you used to walk through the village, you'd be greeted like a fireman, like a hero. Today, it's more like, oh, he's a train driver. Today, you're nothing.
Jens said back then, being on time was the top priority. Expressions like as punctual as a train were used in everyday German language, pünktlich wie die Bahn. And railway workers said the timetable is law.
Things were different back then. There were 12 people on standby at the depot. They would just sit there, and if something happened, if a train broke down or something else, they would go and fix it. No problem. Nowadays, we don't have standby crews anymore. Too expensive.
Listening to Jens talk about the way things were, it feels like this story is about even more than just failing infrastructure or frustration that you can't rely on German punctuality anymore. It's as if Deutsche Bahn is Germany, that its decay is a symptom of a much deeper malaise.
And at least some of this malaise is connected to Germany's reunification in 1990. There are some interesting parallels between the history of Deutsche Bahn and the biography of Jens Kaminski. He was born near Dresden, in the former East Germany. The year he started his career as a train driver, 1994, was also the year that the rail companies of East and West Germany merged to form a newly incorporated Deutsche Bahn AG.
1994 was just 4 years after German reunification, after the fall of communism. It was as though the free market spirit of capitalism had won over communism.
Yeah, Deutsche Bahn AG was meant to reflect all that. Capitalism over communism, West Germany taking over East Germany. AG, the letters A and G in English, stands for Stock Corporation in German. The plan was to transform the National Railroad Company into a competitive and profitable enterprise that would eventually go public on the stock market.
The year before the merger, the Western and the Eastern train companies employed almost 500,000 people, but ran a massive deficit, not exactly attractive for investors.
So what followed was a period of drastic cost-cutting and downsizing. Deutsche Bahn stopped investing in infrastructure, reduced its network and its workforce, all that in a bid to become attractive to investors.
And less attractive to the public.
Ja, das ist dann die Zeit gewesen, wo der richtige Stellenabbau begonnen hat.
That was the time when the real job cuts began. Tracks were closed down, even those needed to overtake trains. It was radical, a real change. You could feel it everywhere.
Ja, das hat sich voll bemerkbar gemacht.
So, how does Deutsche Bahn look today as a company?
At first glance, Deutsche Bahn looks pretty impressive. It generated roughly 27 billion euros in revenue last year. But Deutsche Bahn is not profitable. It lost almost 2 billion euros in 2024.
And most importantly, even though Deutsche Bahn is organized like a stock corporation, it has never gone public. The German government is the only shareholder.
So, who is ultimately responsible for the mess that Deutsche Bahn is in? Is it the CEO and his management team? Jens Kaminski, our train driver, doubts that.
Ich darf das gar nicht sagen.
I shouldn't even say this, but I think they're just puppets of the government. They get instructions on how the railway should be run or what the railway must do, and it's all controlled from Berlin.
Wird von Berlin gesteuert.
That's not just the personal opinion of a union member. His assessment is shared by Germany's Federal Court of Audit. The auditor's job is to check how the government spends the taxpayers' money and to sound the alarm if they see cause for concern.
And boy, have they sounded the alarm. More than once, actually. The auditors regularly check on Deutsche Bahn. In their most recent report, they did not mince words.
For 3 decades, the federal government has failed to address key railway policy issues.
According to the auditors, the government failed to develop a clear plan for the train company, it failed to define clear goals, and it failed to exert its influence as the company's only shareholder.
The result, according to the auditor's report,
Deutsche Bahn has long been failing to meet customer expectations for punctuality and reliability. Deutsche Bahn is in constant crisis and in need of reform.
The report also reminds the government of its constitutional obligation. The German constitution, or basic law, defines railway infrastructure and transport as public goods. The government has the duty to ensure that trains run properly and people can travel.
Other governments take this obligation much more seriously. Switzerland, for example. Yes, the country is much smaller, but it also has a complex rail system and often challenging weather conditions. Still, it manages to maintain a punctuality rate of over 90%.
So, Nico, you've experienced that the Swiss take punctuality very serious and they are willing to take drastic measures to make sure their trains are on time.
Oh, yes, I did.
What happened?
Well, I was traveling from Germany to Switzerland with my kids. It was summer, it was a super hot day, and we were passing through Germany. And during the ride, our train had already accumulated more than 1 hour of delay. And when we got to the Swiss border, to the last station before the Swiss border, we were forced to get out.
What do you mean, forced to get out?
Well, we had no choice. The train stopped and we were told to get out. We were told that the Swiss wouldn't let the train in because it was massively late.
Whoa, that was like the Swiss lesson in punctuality, or what?
Yes. Every train coming from Germany with more than 15 minutes delay risks being denied entry into Switzerland.
Whoa, they do take this serious, huh?
Yes.
Swiss style.
Swiss style.
It's somewhat ironic that Switzerland is used as a positive example when it comes to trains. Because back in the 1990s, their national train company was in bad shape. Functional, but too expensive, too stolid, too bureaucratic.
In 1999, a few years after the Germans, the Swiss started to reform their railway company and chose a similar course. They turned their railway company into a private corporation with a single shareholder, the government.
But here's the key difference. The Swiss knew what they wanted from their railway company and did not change strategy every few years.
It boils down to how a country answers this question. Should a train system be run like a company that generates profits? Yes or no?
The Germans said yes, and the Swiss said no. Because the Swiss see their national train company as a public service provider. That's what Peter Füglisthaler told German broadcaster WDR. Until his retirement in 2024, Füglisthaler was the top supervisor of the Swiss railroad company.
A railway infrastructure isn't meant to generate profit. Its goal is to provide capacity and punctuality, benefits for everyone. It requires a different management approach, one focused on reliability. In the end, it's all about the money, how many billions are allocated to maintain and expand the rail network. Without money, it doesn't work. Germany is investing much less in its railway than Switzerland. But if you invest much less, you cannot expect the same quality.
So it's not just that Germany denied there was a problem or that it's delayed dealing with it. The German government wanted something different from its national infrastructure than the Swiss. Profit. At least they've started to realize that idea has failed them.
The new government and Deutsche Bahn plan to invest billions of euros to modernize tracks, switches, bridges and train stations. And a lot of the work has begun.
But that also means more delays because of the construction work, more cancellations, more closed tracks, even if only temporarily.
If only DB had thought of that other German saying, sparen am falschen Ende. They saved money the wrong way. And now it's going to cost them, and us, more. Tyler, the young train driver, thinks there's another problem lurking below. He told us the decline of Deutsche Bahn had a lot to do with our love for cars.
Germany is a car country. Germany has always been a heavy car industry country, and that's why the focus is always, at the end of the day, putting more money into roads and car infrastructure or truck infrastructure than our train system. And it shows off. People love our highways, they love our Autobahn. They want to go with no speed limit down the road and have, a great time. If a train comes late, who cares, you get there. Just later.
Germany is indeed a car country. Over the past 30 years, the government has invested twice as much in streets and autobahns than in railroad infrastructure. A study concluded German policy is still fully focused on the car.
So for train travelers, it's been downhill for decades. And they are not only frustrated with the train company, but with successive German governments and their politics.
The journalist Arno Luig published a book about Deutsche Bahn and how it's falling to bits. Here's a quote from the book.
Every dilapidated train station, and there are thousands, is a symbol for the state of the entire country. Anyone waiting in the cold in these shabby and run-down places, waiting for trains that might never arrive, has a very real sense of what those in power at the national rail operator and in politics in Berlin think of them. Alarmingly little. From there, it's only a short step to a general disenchantment with politics, and the cry, "You piss me off, all of you politicians in Berlin, every last one of you."
But amid all the frustration, some people are finding ways to cope with these challenges.
Perhaps it's just his North American background coming through, but Tyler, the young train driver, is an optimist. He thinks DB will be fixed.
People that commute a lot with train, they have more patience, and when people ask them, how come you're so calm and not all raged up? Dude, I travel with the train all the time. I know how bad it can be. This is nothing, you know? So in a sense of that, I think people take something positive with them when they travel with us. So there's always a bright side, as they say, right? There's always a bright side.
Let's break into song here.
So what do you think, Andreas? Will Deutsche Bahn ever be fixed?
I sure hope so, because I really like train traveling. But part of me thinks it depends on whether we are able to accept that we made mistakes and learn from others and then take action.
Yeah, I wonder why Deutsche Bahn didn't do it like the Swiss.
But at least something seems to be changing now. The country has taken on massive new debt to invest in infrastructure, including trains and tracks and signals and stations.
Billions are poured into infrastructure right now, but it's just like so much time was lost. The country seemed to be in denial and the problems just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
And in our next episode, denial and delay are important factors too.
In episode 2 of Delayland, we look at Germany's car industry.
It's always we are superior, so I think it has a lot to do with arrogance.
And we find out why Germans believe their cars are superior.
I'm shaking. I'm okay, but I survived. I'm proud.
So, what do you think about Germany and what should it learn from other countries?
Share your thoughts and write an email to delayland@dw.com.
Delayland, Germany and the Missing Magic is a DW production, researched, written and produced by us,
Andreas Becker
and Nicolas Martin.
Our editors were Kathleen Schuster and Zulfika Abani.
Sound design by Warner Poland, audio editing and mixing by Simon Berghahn.
Executive producer Judith Hartl.
Special thanks to Thomas Neufeld, Ashutosh Pandey and the whole DW business team and the DW Hindi department.
People who contributed to this episode:
Zulfika Abani, Shristi Manga Pal, Gabriel Borrett, Kathleen Schuster, Neil King, Charlie Shield and Nick Martin.
Cover art Nora Charlotte Tom and Anke Jordan.
Marketing Sam Baker and Sachin Sharma.
If you like this podcast, hit subscribe, leave us a comment on your favorite podcast platform and tell your friends about it.
Thanks for listening and come back next time.
Hey, I'm Charlie Shield, co-host of Living Planet. And I don't know about you, but right now I'm really not sure what to think about the future. 1 minute, we hear this.
The planet experienced its hottest year ever in 2024 and at one point crossed a temperature.
And it feels, well, like we're cooked. But then we hear stuff like this.
Renewable energy has overtaken coal as the world's leading source of electricity for the first time.
And it seems like maybe, just maybe, we could be turning a corner. But fossil fuels still dominate, and the energy transition is proving anything but simple. In this new 3-part miniseries from Living Planet, we're going from the deserts of Morocco to the grids of Europe, and then into legendary climate writer Bill McKibben's office to ask why this is all so hard. The Switch, a miniseries on Living Planet, starts November 21st.